to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are strictly those of the participants and do not represent those of 2020visionradio.com or its advertisers. This 2020 Vision Radio 102.1 FM program is being simulcast weekly on the Caribbean Broadcast Network, heard on CBN Superstation 90.9 FM, Go Loud Digicel app, covering the entire U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and CBN TV on Flow Channel 101 and on CCT TV Channel 291. We do appreciate our U.S. and British Virgin Island listeners and viewers joining us for these informative and entertaining programs on 2020 Vision Radio and 102.1 FM.
Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, baby. Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, But girl, tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, baby. Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, But girl, tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Tell Me. This is Tell Me number 1050. And we are urging you, if you're viewing, bear with us a little while. Our chief technician is still here trying to get things set up right. Had a couple of issues this evening, and I have complete faith in him. He will get things right for us. The other thing is, tonight, our 4697953 is not working. So if you're calling us, you have to call us on 669-7312 or 917-460-2187. But you're not going to be calling now. You'll call a little bit later. You'll just allow us to get things moving before you start with your calls. Trying to set up the cameras. We couldn't find Tulu tonight. We found Dr. Daly. Still can't find Tulu, but our chief technician is working on it, and he'll soon have Tulu on the screen. Good evening, Tulu. You have on your nice pink button-down short sleeve shirt tonight. You look like you get a parcel.
Yes, I did receive a parcel, and let me say thanks to the persons who made sure that I received my parcel for this evening. I have to put in a plug now for Dr. Daly.
But of course.
Okay. He also needs his parcel that will last for the rest of the month. Good evening to all those who listen to us on a regular basis. We're happy to have you again this week. Call up a friend, call up a neighbor, remind them that we are on the air. Special good evening to my sisters, Sylvia, Janet, Valerie, Kyron, my nephew. How are you doing, Kyron? Then also to Lavanda, to Randa, Cheryl, Tyrrell, and then to all of the others who we normally greet. We are happy to have you. Welcome.
And good evening, Dr. Daly.
Good evening, Carlisle.
I have a question here from somebody overseas. Is Dr. Daly wearing pink?
No, unfortunately.
Gigi?
No.
What you have to do is to say your size.
By the time he gets here, the pink will be out. So it doesn't matter.
Carlos said pink is going to run to the end of the month. That's what you said, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So the month will be still there.
Don't encourage. I'm quite comfortable being the man out, the odd man out. But let me say good evening to all those who have joined us for another lovely Thursday evening here on Charlestown. If you're on FM, Twitch, YouTube, and of course Facebook, special good evening to all of you. And of course, my brother Hugh down in St. Croix, my brother Denny and his wife Twilla in New York, my sisters Evan and Judith up there in Connecticut, and my brother Carl in Atlanta. Of course, right here on Davis, my brother Reverend Othniel Daly is in the house. And over there in St. James, my buddies Turkey and Bose and Gary. And up there in Westbury, my good buddy Max. I hope everybody's doing fine, preparing for this weather that is approaching. It should skirt us a little bit to the northwest. So I don't see any big issue there. Some rains are expected. But it is inching closer. The last update I saw, we're about 140 miles northwest of Nevis. And so that's a healthy distance away. Once it continues on that track, I think we should be pretty much okay, except for some showers. So if you're worried, button down. If you're not like me, then stay tuned.
You're not worried at all about this weather. Some of our boats have already gone to safe harbor. I noticed that. Some others, I just looked down and I saw one still at the pier, but I'm sure that they have a plan. So I'm not worried about them. They have to be worried about themselves and make sure that they look after themselves very well. Okay. Our chief technician says he's done. Everything is up and running, and we should be on all of the mediums: Facebook, Twitch. We're here on YouTube. We're on over the ear as well, so we're good. Let me say good evening to Maria's children as well. Mary's someplace enjoying herself on a nice little cruise, and she deserves it. She's celebrating her birthday on the seas, out of tropical storm Jerry's way, she and her husband. And then Sister Glenda, hope that you're doing well, looking forward to seeing you soon, and the rest of her family. To Mervet is the one who normally keep me in line. If I forget anybody, she would tell me who I forget. Good evening to you, Mervet. Hope you're doing well. And good evening, since I'm up there, let me say good night to Shireen and Caden as well, and Alan and Dahlia a little further down south. And then coming down to the British Virgin Islands, my brother Everett and his wife and the rest of the family. And here in Nevis, my brother Trevor and his wife and the rest of the family as well. Hope that you're doing good. Mrs. Jeffers, good night to you. Hope you're having a good night. Mr. and Mistress Farrell and the rest of the family, I'm stopping by tonight to say good night to you as well and hope that you're doing good. Let me get to the birthday list this evening and make sure that our birthday people are happy. Yesterday, sometimes I go back. Yes, yesterday, Sonia Parry celebrated her birthday. Hope you had a good one, Sonia. As well as Leonie Pemberton up there in Craddock Road. Leonie, I didn't hear anything from Lauren about a piece of cake, so you must remind her that I like cake. Thursday, I don't have anybody on the list, but Friday, Nebula Claxton celebrating a birthday, and the big man, our own Dr. Grenville Liebert, will be celebrating birthday on Friday. So we are saying happy birthday to you, Doc. He's normally in here on a Friday morning, so he will be celebrating the start of his birthday on here. Donnell moving over there in Cotton Ground celebrates on Saturday. Valerie is on Sunday. Monday, Eudora Brown Lister, that is the sister of Rhonda Brown, and Rhonda is sending greetings out to her on her birthday, which is coming up on Tuesday. Tuesday as well, Reverend Bonnie Byron. So, Reverend Bonnie, we're reaching out and saying birthday greetings to you in advance and pray for us. Continue to pray for us. Wednesday, Mr. Orville Cornelius, Orville Daddy Cornelius, will be celebrating his birthday. And so we want to send out birthday greetings to you as well. And let me go to the phone lines because this might be birthday greetings as well. Good evening, caller. Hello, good evening, caller. Okay, that call, I had the person on hold as I was talking and they dropped out. So those are who I have, gentlemen. Don't think that I missed anybody. These are all who I had on the list. So we want to say good night to you. Anybody on Facebook pop up a late greeting?
I see something from Kevin, but I think he was trying to call. He didn't mention who he's for, but no, I didn't say anything else.
Okay, Kevin, if that was you, call us back again before we get into the birthday song so that we can get your greetings out. Hi, good evening, caller.
Good night, caller. This is Kevin.
Yes.
I want to send birthday greetings to my auntie Sonia, who's celebrating tomorrow on the 10th. Coming from Kevin, her son, Joni, daughter Hadassah, and the rest of the family. I want to wish her happy birthday when it comes.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you. Okay, so those are the persons who are celebrating in October so far.
I see one here for Ermine Kelly, coming from Jacqueline, France. Advanced birthday greetings to Ermine Kelly, coming from Jacqueline, France.
Says when Ermine will be celebrated. It didn't. Ermine, since it didn't say, we will celebrate you all month. Okay, let's do the song then.
It will make sense to do that. And by the way, Tulu's birthday wasn't when his birthday was.
Yesterday and Tuesday.
Yesterday and Tuesday.
Yesterday and Tuesday.
we did advance him last week.
Yeah. He slipped me to ask you how it was.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was extremely good. I put in some Bible study. Eat and drink and relax.
Boring.
What?
So somebody told me I should go back and say happy birthday to Karen as well, Karen Hobson. We did that last week, but Karen, just know that you're loved and there are people out there who are thinking about you as well.
Part of the highlight is that Alfie David called to...
I'll call you.
Yeah, called to wish.
Man, you're in good business.
And then up to today I had calls, people still saying, it's today, yesterday or tomorrow. And so...
You know, there are quite a few people who celebrate on 2 days. Because their mother told them that they gave birth on one day and the records show on a different day.
That is the very same thing with me. My mother said I was born on the 7th. But my birth paper said the 8th. She said, let me tell you something. I may be the pain and ban you.
She was there.
I know. You were born on the 7th. So I celebrate both. because the legal document says.
Well, maybe half of you came out on the 7th and the other half came out on the 8th.
No, it was not in the night.
Okay, I got you.
I was born at home, but it's in Bath Village, but
You're born
was
in
an
Bath
afternoon
Village?
Bath Village. I'm from Bath.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm not from Government Road.
No, he said it before. He said it before.
I'm a bona fide Batman.
Okay, I hear you.
Your bad pan.
However you want to put it.
Okay, let's do the birthday song.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. And as usual from us in the studio, may you live to be 101 and us 101 minus a day, so we don't have to see you go. May God continue to bless you with good health, strength, and of course, wealth.
Thank you very much. Okay, before we dive into matters, this morning I woke up to a most distressing piece of news. Sharina from Cox. She was involved, she was in one of those vehicles involved in that multi-vehicle accident at the top of Government Road there by the Club Trenham Junction. And she passed away. Young girl, less than 40, 3 children and a husband. We want to send out our condolences to her entire family. And again, you know, when things like these happen, you know, you have the stress and the pain and so on. But it also puts our health system directly on the table under the microscope. Because here was an accident that happened last week, Tuesday. I heard people say that the young lady had a broken leg. You're not supposed to die from a broken leg. You know, I understand that she, up to the time that she passed, had not had surgery. And that there was some excuse about the theater being booked. But this is absolute rubbish, because I know that they have had surgeries during the evening hours. You want to tell me that the theater was booked for 24 hours every single day between last week and when she passed this morning? And more than that, what else could have been the problem? Because if you had a broken leg and you were able to converse and talk freely with people, did anybody check for internal injuries? I'm not a doctor.
Well, you see, these kind of things demands full independent investigations. And that is something that has been lacking for in our health system for some time. And it is paramount for the sake of the family that they get closure on this. Because then persons are going to go away to believe that a person died from a broken leg by being in the hospital. I mean, there must have been something else, some other cause that was undiscovered and should have been discovered perhaps with more care. But before we start jumping to conclusions and pointing fingers, let us demand as a community a full independent investigation into the circumstances of why the young lady died. Her family, her husband Jahim, I've known him since he's a little boy, and his sons, and the rest of the family, they deserve closure on this, and they're not going to get it simply by even an autopsy will not give final closure, because then it only reveals the cause of death and not the circumstances leading up to her death, which our investigation will uncover. And so I'm calling on the Premier of Nevis, Minister of Health, I'm calling the Junior Minister of Health to ensure that they impanel an independent body to really to bring closure to this matter and to prevent any further occurrence going forward.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
We would have had a situation like that before, involving a young lady too. I do not know that there was any independent investigation that went into that. I think the autopsy, we were told, said that she died from a blood clot. But I'm saying that it happened in the past. And then we should learn from that to say, when you have these accidents, when you saw the damage that was done to the vehicle, then it means that you must do every possible check from head to toe to make sure that what happened in the past don't happen again, that we have another person who got involved in an accident, lay for a week, almost 2 weeks, and then died. And to be told that died from a blood clot, it is unacceptable. But our Premier said that the best healthcare has been on Nevis is right now under his leadership. And so, if this is the best, we're in big trouble.
Listen, I feel badly about every single death, but in particular circumstances like these, because we got to do more than just talk. When Hastings died, his brother, who is a medical doctor, made comments which suggest that that death was an unfortunate death. And this one is just to add to that number. I mean, surely, there should be protocols. That was a major accident, great trauma. And persons who saw the vehicle that the young lady was in said that it was probably totaled. But I mean, you have an accident like that. I mean, surely you would want the doctors to be very thorough in their investigation and to look at all the possibilities. Can you not just 38 and in good health, get in an accident, you get a broken leg, and then you're just dead? And what do? You just put that down as another statistic? But I like what you suggested, Daily. There must be a proper investigation.
It needs to be, and I'm wondering whether if we have a trained, certified trauma surgeon on staff, because that sort of expertise would, of course, bring full weight of that discipline to bear. Now, if you're just an internist or you're just a general MD without having that trauma experience, that takes years of experience, by the way, to accumulate, then you always run the risk of not discovering what you need to discover. The accident report would have indicated the level of damage to the vehicle. All those things would go into that man's or that woman's head into determining the kind of care that is required. In not a situation where the person walked away from it. So like I said, I don't want to speculate because it may prejudice people's opinions, and I don't want that. I simply want a full and thorough independent investigation so that we can get closure, not only as a family, but as a community.
Makes sense.
Okay, I'm going to leave that there. But again, condolences to the family, to the husband, and I understand there are 3 young children. And so we got to reach out and envelop the family with some love, because trust me, they need it right now. And again, I want to say, this is not like how long ago young David died in that car accident up there by Wendy and them, just below. That's many years ago.
A couple of years.
And she likewise lived some days and then passed. That was a really horrific accident. You know, this one, so many years later, what have we learned? How have we progressed from that?
I think we would have had one since the young girl, David. This one would have taken place across by Nelson Springs, somewhere hitting on the curb there.
Yes.
Okay. And so we have experiences.
And this happened Tuesday, so you have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning. You're talking 9 days. I mean, surely we want to, if our healthcare is as special as the Premier says that it is, you want to be able to hear better stories, that people survive, that care was immediate and it was good. And in the end, that people walked away from those accidents. So, again, condolences to the family. You are, since I heard about it this morning, it has just been on my mind. Because, you get in an accident, you have a broken leg, a broken arm, nature of that accident. You don't just concentrate and say, okay, you have a broken leg, so let me just fix that. And while you're looking to fix that, somebody hemorrhaging inside. I'm not saying that is what happened, but I'm just very, very concerned. Gentlemen, I saw both of you at the NRP convention on Sunday. It was a lovely event.
Lovely? It's more than lovely. I mean, whoever organized this convention and put it together, you have to give the 100% right, Dr. Daly. I mean, it was excellently. I have attended a couple of conventions, and to my mind, this is the best we have ever had. You know.
Yeah, I concur. It was everything I expected and more. Especially like the prayer let go.
Oh boy!
I mean, I almost pull up my wallet to pass something in the collection plate because
Do not insult us.
Not insult. I mean, I don't mind giving a blessing when the blessing is deserved, and it was deserved. So don't take it the wrong way. All right, but you let God pray there that had the whole audience willing to come up and testify. I'm not joking. I mean, it was good. It was really, holistic and touching. And then, of course, that was during the private session, and then during the public session, Sister Carlin Lawrence.
Wow.
Like another one. I mean, there were fireworks going off, and whatever church Carlin going to, I going to.
Amen.
I'm telling you, she let our prayer there that is out of this world. That is in the public session. So, but other than that, I think the featured speaker stayed within the bounds of what we expected. She focused heavily on the SSD, which is paramount importance. I don't think any foreign speaker could have delivered the way she did on those pivotal issues that are so critical in our understanding what's going on. And so I thank Dr. Busso for that. Dr. Hodge, of course, always stellar in her presentation. You could see, she's trying very hard to hold back a lot because she has this image of a demure, parliamentarian. But there were some points that she threw some spears, and so it was all good. The entertainment by Devon. He sang a whole litany of gospel songs. I mean, he just lit up the whole place with that. So that was great. The food was good. I thank all those persons who were serving and made it possible for us to get a little bit of sustenance. And of course, the company of those persons who joined from St. Kitts, the representatives from PLP and PAM, were there in their numbers, and they enjoyed it. I would have had the opportunity to converse with them, and they appreciated the invitation and the camaraderie that we shared, and all were welcome. I must say that we did not get any attendance from the SKNLP for whatever reason. They were notified. They acknowledged receiving the invitation, but they did not send a contingent. That is for them to decide as to why they chose to not to attend, but that's okay. But all in all, Carlisle, I had a grand time. We finished around 8:15, everything all said and done, and I was exhausted by the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
I felt really good, and I think, those persons who are listening on the Facebook and the YouTube, they were showing their comments and they're showing the love for what was happening, and it was good. It was really good.
But for Dr. Busso, one of the things that she said is that it's important that we share the history of the Nevis Reformation Party with the young people and the people in general, because people need to understand where we came from as an island and what motivated these men to form this party and who was really the brainchild behind forming the party. I was told by one of the persons who were involved at the top that it came out of a discussion between Rowan Liebert, Harris Liebert, Brother Philip, Carlton Paris, and Ralph Harris. In their discussion, Rowan Liebert said, "Gentlemen, we have to get a party to look after the people of Nevis." And they bought into it, and from there, it snowballed into where we are now 55 years later. And so people need to understand where we came from, what was the situation that made it necessary for this party to be formed, and give credit to all of those who would have been involved in having this party running from that time until this present moment.
Congratulations again to Chanel Myers and the convention's arrangements committee, which she has headed for the last couple of years. Did excellent early work. And to the whole executive and every single member of the party who came and assisted to make sure that things went well. Thank you to all the donors as well who made sure that they provided for the party, and so that we had a good convention.
And the attendance was good too.
Yes. NRP is the only party in Nevis that has regular conventions. The other set of people, they would announce conventions but not have them. You know, that's all I would say about the other people. Okay. Gentlemen, some weeks ago, we were told that was weeks ago or last week, that the Premier had written to members of the opposition here in Nevis, asking them to get together and nominate. He didn't put that in the thing, but they were looking for one nominee from the opposition side in Nevis to sit on the committee to monitor this crazy SSZ that they are having, that they are talking about. I'm sure that the Premier was hoping and is still hoping that just like how he nominated somebody to the Integrity Commission, that he would go ahead and nominate somebody to this monitoring committee as well. What interests me, though, is a remark that the Premier made on his show. And with no prejudice, let me play it and then we can comment on it.
I've had a response from the Honorable Janice Daniel Hodge saying that she requires more information. She wants to know this and she wants to know that. We'll get to that in time. And then the Honorable Cleon Stapleton Simmons has sent me informal communication to say that she too would like to get some additional information.
Gentlemen, I'm going to play it again, and this time I want you to listen carefully to how he treat his reference to Honorable Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge and to Cleon. I think you just listen to the tone.
I've had a response from the Honorable Janice Daniel Hodge saying that she requires more information. She wants to know this and she wants to know that. We'll get to that in time. And then the Honorable Cleon Stapleton Simmons has sent me informal communication to say that she too would like to get some additional information.
Okay, so one is informal communication. So what was that, a text or a telephone call? And one was a response, which she didn't say a written response. And she want information and this, and she want information and that, and I'm going to get to Cosa in time. Sorry, my correction. I'm going to get to that in time. And then he had this response from Cleon. The Premier always seemed to misunderstand his role as Premier and the statesmanship that should come with him as being Premier. And he always seemed to prefer instead to put on a cap on his head which is too tight. So he squeezes whatever little brains he has left so that he talk all kind of foolishness. What is this? Both of them wanted more information. Well, you couldn't just say both of them has requested more information. Janice want this and he want that.
But I don't blame Dr. Hodge for asking for more information whatsoever. I would have been privy to the letter that was received, and having perused it several times, it leaves a lot to be desired. It was bare bones letter asking for her input in selecting somebody to sit on this oversight committee, dealing only with the compliance issue. Why the legislation does not pick out the compliance issue? It says receive, approve, and review compliance. All right, so I don't blame her to ask, well, what exactly is that person to do? Strictly compliance, or are you going to go along with what is recorded in the Act, Section 9, which speaks clearly to an oversight committee that is all encompassing, not only looking at how the people are complying with the agreement, but being involved in also the receiving and approving of the applications for consideration by the developers. So I can't blame her for asking, well, exactly what will that person be doing? Because I would want to know, if I'm selected, which I won't be, because I would not be approved by the Premier, of course, I would want to know exactly what is my mandate. What am I doing here?
But for me, why would you ask me to nominate somebody to sit on any board to do with this SSD when you know that I oppose it?
Mm-hmm.
I told you already I do not have enough information on it. I oppose it. We do not want that type of development. Why would you insult me and still ask me to nominate somebody on it? That's an insult.
Check the box.
Check the box?
I asked.
Oh, you asked?
It's a check the box exercise.
Well,
he does not expect Dr. Hodge, in the long run, to nominate anybody, because that will legitimize his position that this is something that we support, and we don't. All right? So for her to comply would automatically mean NRP is in approval of this SSC, and we are simply working along with him on it. And so I agree with her on multiple points. For me personally, I would have rejected it out of hand as being absurd. But he's playing politics. He's playing politics just like he did with the IPL, Integrity Public Life, the appointment of the third member. He's playing politics. He's talking to his base. He's talking to people out there to say, I extended the olive branch to the leader of the opposition, leader of the NRP, and she refused. That's all he's doing. Playing games.
Well, I see it as an insult. I told you that I do not support it. I told you to repeal the laws that are there, and then you turn around and send me a request to nominate somebody to it. That is an absolute insult. You have no regard for me. I personally wouldn't have responded to his letter if I had to deal with it.
You have to. Because
Just
then,
me personally?
Yeah, you have to, because then you're adding another layer on top of it, which says, I wrote it and even had the courtesy to
I
respond.
won't respond to him. I don't respond to insults.
I would have responded and said, you could push this letter where the sun don't shine.
Okay, well, my way is better.
You're not very diplomatic, Dr. David.
My way is better.
Okay, listen. The Premier has been the chief spokesman for the SSD and for the developers. He and his cabinet had a meeting with the chamber and who else?
Nevis Tourism, not Nevis Hotel Association.
Okay. That meeting took place this week, and there is another meeting which is happening tomorrow. In terms of the meeting with the chamber, I think we should probably start that part of the discussion by, have you gentlemen seen the comments by Charles Wilkin?
Yes.
Kessie? Okay. He released something which came out on the 1st of October 2025. And it is an interesting document because, and perhaps we should just read it into the records, or some of it. Comments of Charles Wilkin on Special Sustainability Zones Authorization Act, SSZ Act, is dated the 1st of October 2025. 1. The SSZ Act is intended to promote sustainable development in authorized development zones in the country. 2. In the case of Nevis, there are realistically two main types of development that require promotion, namely geothermal energy and tourism, particularly high-level hotels and residential developments and related facilities supporting them, such as golf courses and marinas. 3. But the Act goes a lot further and allows the government to hand over to a zone developer all powers of the government in respect of a development zone except foreign affairs, military, defense, citizenship and residence, elections, the court system, and any other right or responsibility not transferable to any other person or entity under the Constitution. 4. The development of geothermal energy can be achieved without government ceding such powers to a developer. Likewise with tourism development. The major hotel development in Nevis, the highly reputable Four Seasons Hotel, was not required to be given such governmental powers. Why are potential competitors to be given such powers? Good question. 5. I am not at all surprised, therefore, that a widely held perception is that the Act allows government to create a state within a state, or a second government with the zone developer having powers over all or some matters other than the exceptions in 3. 6. There are many other issues on which the Act is silent. These include what specifically government can do under the Act with the many other executive powers of government not preserved by the Act, policing and security, the right of access by locals to public areas within a zone, beach access, the right of local landowners to refuse to sell their land to a zone developer. Will government compulsory acquire that land? Establishment and use of ports, C&A, immigration, customs, land law, professional services, social security, banking, powers of the ECCB, money laundering, use of cryptocurrency, the haven of money launderers, drug laws, protection of surrounding waters, work permits, application of the CARICOM and OECS treaties, business opportunities for locals and local entities. 7. If the government wants to satisfy the public of their motives, they must disclose in full detail what developments they are promoting under the Act and justify why a developer needs to take over government powers. 8. There is no room for secrecy here. Our country was abominated under the CBI by unknown people traveling all over the world with diplomatic passports and international criminals holding our passports and committing massive crimes. That is bad enough, but this goes further by exposing our people in their country to their faces to developers who run an unelected second government. 9. All the more reason, therefore, that there should be full disclosure of zone developers and all those connected with them. Genuine investors should not mind such disclosure, but many of the people hanging around our country under CBI have good reason to get the protection offered by the Act. 10. What will inevitably happen if the government does not disclose its real intentions fully is that the Act will be tied up in litigation all the way up to the Privy Council, and there will be no development under the Act. That can and should be avoided. 11. I am sure the Chamber wants to see genuine development by reputable developers who are incentivized for the purpose, as has happened continuously since independence under other legislation. But the Chamber needs strong assurances given this unique legislation. 12. The Chamber also needs assurances that the rights of local businesses will be safeguarded. And finally, 13. Another key assurance required is that campaign finance laws will be passed to ensure that zone developers cannot buy elections and politicians. Our country has no such laws, to the great detriment of its democracy. The Act provides a serious potential risk to our elections. So there we have read that into the record. Why this is important, gentlemen, not just for the content, and the content is remarkable. I think Mr. Charles Wilkin Kessie looked at all of the areas which affect us, and this going to the Chamber, I expected that when they sat down with the cabinet of the Nevis Island administration, they would at least have read this, and they would have raised some concerns. I've had some discussions with some people who attended the meeting, and it seemed as if not many questions were asked of the cabinet and the premier. Secondly, why this is so important, Charles Wilkin Kessie seems to be taking a totally opposite view to his son, Garth Wilkin, who is the Attorney General. This is not just a lawyer giving these views, but is the father of the Attorney General. And so if he says, hey, listen, I have some concerns, I am sure that as a good father, he would have said to his son, I have some concerns. And if Garth is still pushing ahead, irregardless, ignoring sound advice of senior counsel, which I'm sure he didn't have to pay for, it means we're in trouble.
There is another aspect of this. I think what Mr. Charles Wilkin is also signaling to the SKNLP government and to Dr. Drew is that do not test me. I'm willing and I have the resources to take this matter straight to the Privy Council. I think he's trying to give Dr. Drew a way out without being embarrassed. And I think this public pronouncement, this letter, which almost amounts to a white paper on the FSC, is a direct challenge to Dr. Drew and his administration that he intends, because he's the first person, the first lawyer of note that have put on record that this thing will be challenged all the way to the Supreme Court, to the Privy Council. And so, like I said, it is more than just a tongue lashing of his son. It is a warning to the government to back up on this, reconsider this, and possibly repeal it, because you are ceding powers which you have never ceded before to this new new creation, SSD. You don't have to. And so right now, most of the wrangling in this arrangement is trying to see how best to fit the constitutional provisions for customs and port and everything else and policing into the present arrangement. And it's not fitting because, as Casey Charles Wilkins said, you are trying to manipulate the Constitution to fit a circumstance, and it cannot be. There are strict guidelines as what is applicable under the Constitution, and there's not some of the things just can't fit. And to fit them, you have to go back into Parliament and make other adjustments to the Constitution for them to fit. And so he is convinced that this law, if you read what he's saying between the lines, and you don't have to look too far, what he's saying is that this is a bad law. And this law will be challenged. And he basically is, to my mind, he has thrown his hat in the ring and said, listen, I will test you on this.
Just a minor correction. You said first lawyer, but Chesley Hamilton did echo similar views.
Oh, okay.
On a show earlier. We played some clips from Chesley Hamilton as well. Listen, when I read this, when it was brought to my attention and I read it, what jumped out was number 5. Because the Premier seemed to think, he and others seem to think that non-lawyers like us, people who they dismiss, are crazy to say that they are looking to create a state within a state. But when you read number 5, Charles Wilkin Casey, with tremendous experience, says, I am not at all surprised, therefore, that a widely held perception is that the act allows government to create a state within a state or a second government within the zone. The developer having powers over all or some matters other than the exceptions in 3. Is not we alone?
We have been saying this very same thing from the inception. We have been saying that the whole idea behind a sovereign enclave is to cede power from the state to the developers. And we said it was unconstitutional. Now, we didn't use the prose of a lawyer, a learned lawyer like Casey Wilkin, but we were essentially saying the exact thing, that this matter is unconstitutional. You cannot be allowing a man to plant a flag on your territory and said, this is our zone, you can't come in here, we have our zone laws, we have our ordinances, we blah, 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 blah. You simply, the Constitution does not give that power to anybody else but to the recognized authorities, which is our Parliament and our parliamentarians. So I don't know where they're going with this.
I want to thank you, Dr. Daly, for the fact that you are the one who broke the story to us, the general public. And from you, we got involved in it. And everything that you said would follow after you broke the news happened. You said that there will be a legislation coming to facilitate that zone, even though the Premier was denying. A week and a half later, it was there. We are arguing in saying that it is a country within a country. And all the signs, everything that they are doing, speaks to that. But I am happy that Charles Wilkins spoke. I am one who gave him a little bit of stick for not saying anything and for being the vicious on Dr. Douglas, and he said nothing, and I'm happy that he spoke. Because now this has put to bed what his son, the Prime Minister, and the Premier is saying to us, that we should just sit down, wait until they do what they're doing, and then we begin to ask questions and negotiate after when the thing is done. So I am so grateful for you, but I am also happy that Charles has spoken out. I want to know what the response of his son is going to be, if he is still going to hold to this, that we were premature in speaking and that we should shut up and wait and allow the thing to play out, and then we discuss afterwards.
I listened partially to his programming last night, thinking that he would challenge Casey Charles Wilkin about what he wrote.
He did not.
He did not.
Monkey no limb to drummer.
Right. It basically there. You see, he can go and beat up on myself or you or Tulu and said all these things that we are premature and we are blessed, blah blah blah. But why is it Charles Wilkin, who is basically parroting everything that we have said, has not come under the same scrutiny as we have not come under the same conversation, that we are ignore the noise, we are what, aggressive, something or the other, you know? So when people like Attorney Wilkins speak, they carry a lot of weight, much more than we can ever carry. And to hear somebody of that stature speak on a matter of this import is very, very important. Because we've been calling for that for a while. Where's the bar? Where are the lawyers? Where's everybody?
And you're so correct, because the Prime Minister at his round table yesterday didn't address it either. But his advisor was on radio today, on ZZ Radio, making the rounds and tearing into Charles. And as far as he's concerned, Charles is wrong with almost everything that he put out. Charles is the place.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Carlisle. Good evening, Dr. Daly and Tulu. How are you guys doing tonight?
I have been better, but I'm getting better.
All right. Let me just say this quickly. This is not the real reason why I'm calling, but I want to say condolences to Sharina's family. I'm just hearing this news as you brought it over tonight, and she's a young lady who never allowed me to walk down the street not realizing that she was somewhere around. There's a history behind all of that, but it's sad. I'm feeling very, very sad tonight. And if what you said in terms of what happened at the hospital, we have so much to worry about in this country. Now let me go to Dr. Daly. Thank you for all of the hard work you've done to do the background checks, to put forth the information. And I'm hoping that all of this won't be in vain, that people are listening and they're learning. You have people going on the radio saying all kinds of stuff. And maybe they really think that nobody's listening, so they're just banging them out, okay? But I keep hearing comments made about the fact that the lands in the South have been there for hundreds of years and nobody was doing anything about it. Well, guys, help me figure something out. Please help me. People have been paying their taxes for all these years. People bought lands over there with existing roads. You weren't going to buy properties in some place where you couldn't get to in the first place. Roads existed over there. I listened to the premier last night on his show speak about the fact that there are no. I keep wondering and asking myself if he's ever been over there, because he doesn't speak like he understands or has knowledge that there are roads over there. The roads are not accessible anymore because the government has allowed them to sit there and get without any maintenance. And, might I said, collecting people's taxes on an annual basis. People are paying taxes for those lands to a government who has not put in the infrastructure, maintained what was there before. Help me out, guys. I mean, if people are paying their taxes, you would think that people should be able to have access. I know for a fact that questions were asked about the road in 2020 and 2021 that gets you from Long Point going across to a place called Moderns. That's before you get over to the deeper in the south. Okay? And there is a road that can get you from there that and the premier was asked this last night on his show and he didn't know. There's a road that gets you from there that takes you all the way around to Indian Castle and brings you up Hanley's Road. So what is it that we're dealing with here? You got people now turning over our lands to people to do whatever they want, and they don't know what they're doing? Because this is the case to me. If you listen to him, it doesn't sound like he knows what he's doing. And it's bothersome. I'll tell you why it's bothersome. Because Vision's parents, these not no people who came here with money from some big account someplace else in the world. Parents spent their money, worked hard, and bought those lands and left them for their children and their grandchildren to be able to have some kind of work. You got people who have tied up those lands, getting loans from banks. It has been working for them. Those people have been paying their taxes. And anybody who has lands over there, I'm going to encourage you to go down to Inland Revenue and get a printout of all of the taxes that have been paid on those lands over the years. Huh? Because the other thing I keep hearing, people are being made an offer to purchase their lands. And if you don't want to sell your land, you can trade it for some lands someplace else. Now, if you don't want any one of those two options, is there another option? Because what is the premier really saying? That your land is just going to take? That's the lead up to what's going to happen? I mean, divisions, please listen and listen intently. Stop trying to cuss people because they're not saying what you think they're supposed to say and you think they're too political. Listen, because there's a lot of things going on here. There are a lot of things going on here. And we're going to hold our belly and ball.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, caller. Okay, we're going to take a little break and come back. But even as we go to break, I don't know. Sometimes I can't even read my own notes. I want to say condolences to Tamaki and the rest of the family.
Yes.
And Latoya, Jem is on staff at Nevis Academy. Her mom Shirley and the entire family. They have a loss in the family as well. So we want to reach out and envelop you with our love as well. I saw Tamaki either today or yesterday. So much was going through my head that I forgot. Tamaki, my apologies. And our condolences to you. We are going to be right back after this.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
Thank you very much. Compliments of Pico and, of course, Kangen Water. We have Tell Me With You here on a Thursday night. Gentlemen, I want to go to the fair share thing next. And let me start this way.
I did not need the World Bank. In fact, I think I recall saying a kindergarten student could look at the CBI money and say, take out the expense and divide the rest. That didn't need no World Bank. Now I'm hearing that the World Bank is come now to do an overall assessment of the financial situation between the two islands, and I have decided to keep my powder dry. I'm going to wait and see what it is the Prime Minister comes up with. It is something that we've talked about in our very first meeting when he became Prime Minister. It is now 2.5 years after he's Prime Minister. We have still not yet seen anything, but hope springs eternal. And
we'll continue that after this call. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Carlisle, Daly, and Tulu. Carlisle, as a proud citizen of Nevis and St. Kitts, I too want to join the growing chorus of voices who are calling for an urgent reform or repeal of the Special Sustainability Zone Authorization Act, whatever that is. I personally want to thank Dr. Daly for breaking the story, join the chorus as well. Those who were highlighting Dr. Daly, I think he must be commended for the wonderful job he did breaking the story to us. I took some time, Carla, to read and reread QC Wilkins' letter that he wrote to the chamber. And for me, Wilkins' letter underscores a deepening crisis that is a crisis of confidence in the SSE Act. And Wilkins' letter to me is not just a legal critique, it's a call to action. And all of us are involved and all of us are called to action. The Chamber of Industry and Commerce, civil society, the Nevis Island Administration, you name it. The message is very clear. This act needs to be repealed or restructured, and we must ensure transparency, accountability, and constitutional integrity. And without these reforms, the legislation risks, in my mind, creating a serious governance vacuum and undermines our democracy. I took some time out to also look at the act. I read the 7 pages of the act a couple of times. I also took some time out to look at the St. Kitts Nevis Constitution. I am no legal scholar. Um, I am just a commoner, but the Constitution established is that it is the supreme law of the Federation. Any law that is inconsistent with the Constitution is void to the extent of the inconsistency. And the implication here, Carlisle, is if the Act enables governance structure or legal framework that conflict with the Constitution, such as bypassing elected institutions or undermining judicial authority, those aspects are unconstitutional. And then, our Constitution speaks about separation of powers. We have the legislative branch, the executive, and the judiciary. Section 25 to 51 and 101 and Section 83 speaks about that. So here is it. There's an act that is allowing private developers to administer laws and enforce regulation and manage public services in their zone. And these are functions that are traditionally reserved for the executive and the legislature. So this is a direct violation and of the principle of separation of powers. And how can they have such powers if they're not elected representative of the people? And when we look at the Act, Carlisle and Daly, you have to ask yourself the question, was serious thought given by the AG and Dr. Drew's government or cabinet and Mark Brantley? I mean, the AG should be aware of the Constitution and what the Constitution states. So should Mark Brantley, who is Oxford trained. He should be aware of the Constitution as well. So it tells me that this was intentional because I hold these two persons accountable and responsible and should know the Constitution. It also tells me and strengthens my belief that these persons were given a template and did not do any due diligence and push through this legislation. So QC Wilkins resonate and will continue to resonate with the general public. He's in a unique position. He's taken a totally different position, and he's laying on the legal aspect of this messed up act here. We claim that Nevis society is 98% literate. Well, all of us should be able to read the Constitution and this act and look at the provisions in the Constitution and see exactly where this act violates the Constitution. And therefore, this act cannot and should not stand. And the government still has time to put a pause on this and repeal this act. And as a matter of fact, I would recommend strongly to the government to probably commission some legal panel of experts, both from St. Kitts and outside of St. Kitts, to look at this piece of legislation before they continue plowing ahead and putting us in danger and our democracy in danger and our people in danger. In the meanwhile, I am going to say to the people of Nevis, hold on to your property. Do not be fooled by the 30 pieces of silver these people are dangling in front of you. Libertarians have no use for black people. I repeat, libertarians have no use for empowering black people. We have had clear examples in South Africa, Burkina Faso, and several places across Africa. Their aim is to exploit. and to continue to suppress the people. And I am always going to state that because that is their long-term goal. And I don't see why we should continue giving away large swaths of land to these so-called developers to exploit us.
Thank
We
you very
must
much.
refresh ourselves of our history. Thanks.
Thank you very much, caller. Okay, we were just about to switch topics, but I think since we're there, we had a couple of clips here that we should play as well. Let me start with this one.
I am told by the developers that they will shortly be releasing information to the public. When I say shortly, within a matter of days. And so, when they do that, the public will have a first look at what this project is going to look like. What benefits are anticipated to the government and to the people of Nevis, and how this project is intended to proceed. The project, I'm advised, will be done in phases, and there are some aspects which will be done jointly with the government and people of Nevis. What I mean by that is that there are some developments in health, some developments in infrastructure, which will be done by way of improving our existing infrastructure. And what that then will mean is that we, the people of Nevis, will benefit in a tangible way by having that improved infrastructure available to us and available to our children and their children for generations to come.
The guys did say on their website that they're looking for broke governments who they could help to bail out. And so him saying that they will help to improve the infrastructure, that's just phase one of the plan.
Well,
Help them, they're poor, they're broke, they ain't got no money, 600 million in debt. Hold the thought, Dr. Daly. Good evening, caller. Hello, good evening, caller. Okay, the call dropped. When you call and we're playing a tape, we can't pause it, so you're going to have to be on hold for a little bit. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I am getting better and better.
Okay. And don't know much about history. Don't know much about English. Don't know much about anything.
Tell me what you know about.
But what I do know is that our government seems to be representing the developer, instead of representing us as Nivijans who voted for them and put them in power. We have seen development in Nevis over the years by white foreign developers that does not require a SSZ. I am not certain why our Premier and our NIA / federal government is so hell-bent on having these developers granted special permission for an SSZ. The Nevis legislation allow the government to accept or deny whatever development they want to have in Nevis. So for our government / Premier to be out in the public domain trying to convince all Nivijans and anybody who could hear his voice that this development is good for Nevis, when this developer of this project should be the one out there promoting this project is beyond me. Our Premier, our NIA, has turned into a developer for a foreign developer and does not give the communities that this development would affect a chance to hear directly from the developer, because our Premier and his cabinet has basically taken the role of the developer by trying to convince Nigerians what a wonderful development slash this development can do for Nevis. This should be the role of the developer, trying to convince the Nigerian public and the planning department what they can do for Nevis. But instead, our premier have taken over the job of the developer. If you have to look at the planning legislation over the years, our planning act basically put the role on the developer to convince the public, especially the areas that will be affected on the island, how they could enhance the community and enhance the island. So I'm not certain why our premier of Nevis has taken over the role of the developer and trying to convince the public. Is it that our premier and his administration, as per these guys' website, that they're looking for a Brooks bankrupt government where they could demand what they want? Is it that our government in Nevis / St. Kitts is so broke that they are for sale? Because if you look at this guy's website, we now know who they are. And they basically have said exactly what they want. They are looking for Brooks bankrupt, indebted government where they could come, set up shop, and basically take over. If we have to stop for a moment and look at what Butcher did back in the 1960s, 70s, and the Dr. Kennedy Simmons did, where he / the NRP government, NRP government has to raise the money to pay out landowners in St. Kitts to save our land from the foreigners. Why are our government in 2025, some 40-something years after, encourage our persons to sell land to a white developer? Is that the only way we could raise revenue? Is that the only way we could develop our country? There are so many more things that we can do. If the premier had taken his past 17 years being in government and attract 5-6 persons who are investors into Nevis every year to build a villa, we in Nevis would not have been in this position where we are trying to grab to investors who are trying to create a community where they think that the government is so broke that they could buy the way to getting this development approved. Our premier, our government, need to stop for a minute. They need to read the history books. They need to look back and why we got independence in 1983. Then just stop for a minute and look back why Bratcher / Simmons / St. Daniel got into government, what their intentions were, why they decide to take Nevis, St. Kitts on a course of independence and not sell out such valuable acreage / lands of Nevis to foreign investors.
Thank you very much, caller.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Listen, I remember doing an interview with Dr. Sir Simeon Daniel way back in 2006. And I remember him clearly saying that one of the reasons that motivated him to call and to talk was that he advocated that lands should be leased long term rather than sold. I mean, I'm sure that he would say exactly the same thing here. But the other thing is, I also remember Sir Simeon Daniel saying that what hurt him most about the matter with the Pinnies estate was that the NRP government had already arranged the sale of bonds for the purchase of the estate for $8 million. NRP lost the government, CCM came into government, and Vance Amri said, listen, we're not interested in real estate, and they paid back the people all the money that they had collected for bonds. I wonder what Sim Daniel would be saying to Mark Brantley now. That Mark Brantley has found himself acting in many ways as the chief spokesman for Destiny. And you see, people are wondering about this thing, this Destiny. But listen, when you are a billionaire, not in EC dollars, in US dollars, and you meet a set of people who are gullible, and as a friend of mine said, flexible, and would turn around and close their eyes and hope that something drop in the backpack. Money motivate people to do a lot of things, and some things which are not quite right. So I'm not surprised.
This is interesting that you brought up that subject. I'm here thinking on the same Pinnies lands, and that Vance took a ride in a helicopter, and by the time he came off the helicopter, he gave away 600 acres of our lands to people called Newfound. It seems that the premier took a ride, a sail on a yacht somewhere, and by the time he came off the yacht, that deal was in the working for 600 acres of land out of Nevis to go to
in 6 months. Van Samri gave away 1 square mile.
Gave
title to a square mile.
1 square mile.
You know, over here you're talking about 2 point something square miles so far, right, Dr. Daly?
So a helicopter ride gave away 1 square mile, and then now a yacht ride is going to be giving away 6 square miles.
But let us. Oh.
Hi, good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening to the listening public. Good evening to the guys in the studio.
Good evening.
So let me ask this question. This is the first time that Yegerman there work on the behalf of the investors them. This is not the first time where the judge had asked him. No, where the judge had asked him.
Justice Ramdani.
Well, you see that Yegerman there? People say he went Oxford, however he went. But he went to the plantation of Ireland, where they cultivate his mind for such a time like this. That's why he here, you know. That's his purpose. And we all know that. What we're waiting for. This ain't no issue about no opposition and no NRP. This is a Nevis issue. It's a Nevis people issue. And what we say to the people then, forget about the blue and the green flag. Nevis got a flag. Let me rally around the flag and get rid of the nigger man. A time, you know, what we wait for. A time to get rid of him. Good night.
Thank you very much, caller. Remember, we're having some issues with our landline that's not working. So if you're trying to get us on 4697953, that's not going to happen. But we have 6697312 up and operating. And we also have the overseas line, which is 917-460-2187. And so those are the lines which are working for us this evening. And we were about to talk about this fair share business. But of course, the SSZ is going to be firmly on our radar at all times.
Before you move on to another topic, I think people must realize by now that the sustainable zone is no longer sustainable. They have been inching forward with on sustainability. In the act, they spoke about health care being provided by the zone. They spoke about energy and water being provided by the zone, or at least aiming to be provided by the zone. They talk about their own customs and port in the act. But ever since a couple of weeks now, the Premier has been trying to maneuver those resources from the zone into the greater Nevis community. And by that I mean, he spoke about investments in the hospital, because no longer will the zone need their own hospital. They are going to invest $50 million into the Alexander Hospital. The same quantum that we have been speaking about without even seeing the report from the Taiwanese or from the quantity surveyor. We predicted 50 million will be needed to reconfigure the hospital. Mm-hmm. The Premier said that these zone developers are now going to put that 50 million into the hospital so they don't have to build their own hospital. You move to energy. All of a sudden, the zone developers want to invest in geothermal energy, renewable energy, as a partnership with the government of Nevis. I should say partnership of Sinkis and Nevis. So that is no longer a part and parcel of the sustainability argument. So what has the customs and immigration? They're now saying the zone developers no longer are interested in right away having their own port. So let us invest that money into development of the Long Point port. So you see how they are conflating their arguments. You see how they are merging their arguments to now justify the zone developers financing what the NIA should be financing.
But we are giving more power into the hands of the zone.
But that is a trade-off. That is a trade-off. What they're not saying is, in exchange for the $50 million for the hospital, the money for the port, the money for geothermal, we must give up sovereignty. We must give up sovereignty. Now, we have been referring to these people as libertarians. What they really are is ultra-conservative Republicans in that dogma. The ultra-right-wing, meaning that they do not conform to the normal course of law and order. They want to have their own idea ruled by a capitalist system, not by parliament, where money rules, not laws. And so they want us to give up that to them in exchange for our national debt, for exchange for health care, education, infrastructure, etc., etc. You heard the Premier. You heard him clearly for yourself that these people here are promising to deliver to Nevis the kind of infrastructure development that we need.
Then so they will own us.
So where is the sustainability?
They will own Nevis.
But that is the whole point.
For them, and the investors want to own Nevis, and the Premier of Nevis and the Prime Minister is joining with them.
How do you prevent 10,000 people, voting age people, from controlling your government? How? How do you do it? You heard item 13 on Charles Wilkins' post. Campaign financing. Mm-hmm. We have no regulations. We have no laws. How are you? And they know our position on this side of the line. You think they're going to support us? Who do you think they're going to support? Who do you think they're going to support?
They'll never support us.
Exactly. And who said they have not done it in the past? They've been here a long time. Who said they did not finance the 2022 campaign, the 2017 campaign, the 2015 campaign? Ver has been a citizen since 2014. Who says there have not been financing? Is it beyond reason to accept the premise that Dr. Drew and Mark Brandley and the SKNLP and CCM got financing from these people?
So they owe them a debt of gratitude?
I'm just saying, the speed at which this legislation went through and the totality of the power ceding to these people, it's mighty suspicious. Because who in their right mind, somebody indicated Mark is an Oxford trained lawyer, you have the AG, you have other people in government, who in their right mind will look at this and know the contrast with and conflict with our constitution and say, go ahead?
You has been right from the time you break this matter.
Hi, good evening, caller.
Good evening, Caroline.
How are you today?
And good evening, Tulu and Mr. Daly. Mr. Daly.
Yes, sir.
This is an NSA move like where Mark Brantley bring to sink its Nevis, you know. Remember he was boasting saying that the man gonna come and do this lot of film. You understand? And then after we get to know who the man is, MSR. He's saying no, he ain't got nothing to do with it. This is the same thing he doing. This is the same thing. You're so right. Mark Brantley is a guy want to move away from these nonsense where he want to bring to sink his Nevis. And he feel he could hand the country. The caller before he's right, you know. Everything the caller said, he's right. Caller. Mark Brantley is a guy. He shine everybody he just about himself. He shine everybody that. And he hang on together with these things. He come and tell us, you know, that the bill was crafted in that office. Is that right?
Yes.
He told us the bill was crafted in that office. And now he trying to make us to feel like he just passed the bill and went in the house over Nevis, come straight federal, do all of them know about it, the man fund all of them, and I believe daily he give them money long before. It could be the last island assembly, the last election in Nevis. This thing here was happening, but he just break, and he feel he could just get that and Momoju into it and rush it through the federal parliament. But that ain't gonna work. Oh, you don't disrespect the people. Nobody said nothing wrong in the development, you know. But when entertaining them kind of things there, in the long run, these people gonna control Calais and Delhi and Tulu. They come for the long haul, and they ain't gonna work. And I hope Janice don't get weak and just silent. And I'm calling on you in a Calais as the chairman, you know, to make sure we go all out with this here, this SSD, go all out, because the country now buying it, sink its Nevis. Every poor man in and the land is the land generation. Generation and born, we want to know what's there for them. You hear them nonsense there? Mr. Daly was just telling us about. These people coming and talking about they're going to build one hospital. We went to the hospital in Nevis for almost 9 years, can't finish. What happened to that? Ain't talking that. Have a good night, fellas.
Thank you very much. Our callers tonight have been on point.
I want to say something here, because Daly just brought something to mind. When he said the goalpost is changed in relation to the infrastructure development. This is the second major change that has taken since this legislation passed. The first one was the amount of lands. The first one was 500 acres of land that was in the legislation that was passed.
No, it wasn't in what was passed.
It was a draft.
In the draft.
It was in the debate.
In the debate, okay.
Yeah.
Since the debate, they changed it in their draft and they say now it's no longer 5, it could be any amount. Now the premier is changing again in relation to what's going on in the zone, and they want to take it back and bring it over here. These guys are unstable. What is it saying to the people of Nevis? We cannot trust the government. Not only the one in Nevis, but also the one in St. Kitts. They are part and parcel of the same. They are taking us for a ride, and they're doing everything to fix this in, to make sure that the developers get what they want.
But you do realize, gentlemen, in all seriousness and honesty, that if this thing proceeds within a decade, within our lifetime, Nevis could have a majority white population.
Easily.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I wonder if people understand what I'm saying.
Daily, you know what is frightening? The premier said 7 to 10,000. But his recent utterance is 10,000 or more.
Okay.
Is not 10,000 is not a ceiling. I wonder if people understand that our seats are so narrow in terms of margins of victory. That these people, there is nothing to say that somebody who comes in, is a citizen of St. Kitts Nevis, has a place in the zone, that 200 or 300 can move out and they got money. Establish a residence in another area.
Let me tell you something, right? The objective of these people is to dominate.
Of course.
By any means necessary. By any means necessary. They have the money, they have the access to power, they have the backing. If we think that this is simply
and they have the government in the pocket.
If we think that this is simply a benign settlement, we are mistaken. And all those people who are supporting Brantley, his cabinet colleagues, the legal advisor, the we call it now, the whatever the people are. If they believe that this simply gonna stop at the zone borders, they shouldn't be in power. Because it shows an immaturity to understand real politics. These people have been searching for an opportunity like this for a long time.
That's what they said.
And they ain't about to give it up. 10,000, 12,000, 15,000, whatever it is, with the kind of money they have, the kind of access they have, in our lifetime, they would be the majority population in Nevis with the majority power, economic power and political power.
Our population is just a touch over 13,000 at the last count. And you're bringing in 10,000 and more.
Adult people.
Yes.
With
and
families.
And I don't think those people are going to be looking like us.
Okay.
Good evening, caller.
Caller, the other guy there, where Tim broke the thing with him during the last election, he was a part of this thing too, you know. Eric Evelyn, you know. That development come from all that there, you know. This is something I understand in the circus been happening a very long time. You know, that development is a part of the CBI. You know that, right, Carly?
Well, I suspect that they would be applying for city. Well,
but Brantley said it.
Yeah, they will be.
Brantley said it. Yeah. Brantley said,
yes.
Irrespective of whether they are.
It was a part of the CBI.
They got to pay the fees.
They got to pay the fees.
You know, and this is how these guys moving, just doing things and then coming to the country where we have to be the people. We have to the division public. Then to know about these things. Whether it's the last resort, you come to them at the last moment. When you don't get things done, they ain't gonna walk here, Mark. Them chick, they ain't gonna walk. Because when people have the little children, and these children come big, they should be able to say they go anywhere. And I agree with you in a car like, all it takes is 10,000, 500 in dress up, 500 in back, 500 over cock, and 500 over somewhere else. And then that's where they're looking for to control. any time of election, the people have gone ahead. They just got the majority by the money. And they don't work in Nevis. Have a good night again.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Coming hard at him.
Okay, we're showing 18 minutes to 10 o'clock. Let's make sure that our sponsors are happy, and we'll be back right after this.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
We'll come back early so we can take this phone call. Good evening, caller. The call was on hold. The person dropped, so we'll play the other ad. No, they're right back with me, so I'll take it one time. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, caller. What Daly just said prompted me to call in. I mean, it's something I've been contemplating for a while. Now, with 10,000 residents, and the Premier said it could be more than that last night. It means that the population of Nevis has not moved past 15,000 in 100 years. Population in St. Kitts is the same. People die, and that's the reason why. Those are just facts. Now, we represent around 26, maybe 27% of the general population here in Nevis. And with that in mind, we have 3 seats, 30% of the 11 seats that occupies the federal house. Now, if our population suddenly, within the next 5 to 10 years, gets to 25,000, it simply means we will represent 45% of the general population at a minimum. Remember, the Premier said they all have to be citizens, not citizens, but apply to the CBI, pretty much. And thus, they can get their citizenship and they can vote. In addition, they're all millionaires for the most part. So they now become a major player here in Nevis. But that's not where it ends. They can now begin to direct the future of the country from the standpoint of Nevis, but also with extension to St. Kitts. Because with 5 seats out of 11, let's assume we still have the 11, and we move to 5 seats from Nevis in St. Kitts, and they come in as a block, which they would control because of financing. Money is the mother's milk of politics, as we all know. What that means, that would submerge St. Kitts under Nevis in terms of authority and in terms of control, because the Nevis block of votes, or the Nevis, the Nevis caucus going into St. Kitts would be always needed, and there would be the balance of power every time, because the 6 seats in St. Kitts, you would always need a coalition government coming out of Nevis. Hold on, guys. All right? With that in mind, right? St. Kitts, you flip the dynamics, because as in the past, we used to say, St. Kitts control Nevis. Nevis now controlling St. Kitts, but in effect, it would not, people like us would be controlling St. Kitts. In effect, who would be controlling St. Kitts? It's people like them. Though they can't become prime minister because they ain't born here, or premier, they can get the puppet. They can get the government they want, and they can be directing the future of the country in the direction in which they want. That is assuming St. Kitts don't have an SSC, and only Nevis has the 10,000 additional plus people, which makes us 25,000 population. That is scary in terms of the next 10 years out, or 15 years out. In terms of anybody who is thinking this through to its final conclusion. I have a way of looking at it, and I call it the final, what Hitler used to call it, not the final conclusion, but the final solution. Now, guys, when you ponder this, you recognize your people now submerge your South Africa. Think about it, the final solution, because they have the money. And the Premier says they can't invest outside the zone, or something to that effect last night. Well, they got citizenship, they got passports, they can invest anywhere. It's on Constitution to stop them at that point, which is naive on his part. my point to you guys, this is more than, and another thing is, I say to myself, Bratcher, France, Challenger, Manchester, those people who took us, Massa from us, they've delivered us back to Massa. That would be the history of the Labour Party, if this is not repealed. And something to ponder, but they've been thinking about it in a deep way. And I call it the final solution. That is my term, as how I look at it. Petitions, you will just flip the whole script. Petitions, of course, will be under the form of negligence, not like you and I, or any one of us, but by them. And that's the spectre we're looking at, guys. It is serious business.
Thank you very much, caller.
All right, guys. Take it easy, okay?
Listen, I don't know that any other topic has caused as much discussion as this SSZ that they're having.
Thanks,
and I want to make a point here that people keep talking about Four Seasons not giving special zone powers and so on. But I want to also say that we have had some local developers. How much did the government, the CCM administration in particular, help somebody like Dian Daniel? Dian has done a fantastic amount of development here in Nevis. Real body of work that he can be proud of, that anybody can be proud of. But it seems to me that every time that Dian has tried to move forward, he has had to do it not with the support of CCM in government, but he has had to swim against the tide. They have not been helpful to him. What about Greg? I mean, I thought we would have had a marina over there at Cades Bay by now. But have they helped Greg?
Greg got them the wrong color. The wrong race. Let me say this. Okay.
Hi, good evening, caller.
Hey, good evening, guys. I'm happy tonight to hear a few different voices that we never used to hear before. Because I think that's the way this thing needs to be going right now. It is very disturbing that anybody in Nevis or St. Kitts will think that Mark Grantley and the Jew administration will do anything different to what they're doing now. They simply do not care. They have us for cowards and fools. Okay? The only thing I see, my friends, that will set this thing straight, we don't have to wait for an election, like Kibo keeps saying. We just need to get these two governments out of office. Period. Whatever it takes to get it done, that's what we have to do. Because, believe me, I keep telling you guys this, they don't care about us. And they will do anything. Believe me, if they have to kill us, they will kill us. Because that's where they will go. They don't care about us. So we should not care about them. Okay? Our mindset right now should be getting a way of getting them out of power. I asked this question several times already. Is there anything legal which can be done to remove them? Because everything they are doing is illegal. And we are just sitting there like sitting ducks, waiting to be slaughtered. Okay? There's nothing good about this project this man wants to bring to Nevis. Me personally, I don't want to have nothing to do with those type of people. Just like the gentleman said a while ago, we'll be back just like South Africa in segregation. Those people don't like us. I said it before, they have so much money. Why can't they go and buy somewhere else? Why it has to be Nevis? Why it have to be us? We should not sit down and accept this. We got to find a way, either legally or some other way, and get these guys to power. Man just need to get over there.
No, there is
set of fools he got following him.
There is no other way. It has to be legal. I'm like Martin Luther King, non-violent, but I'm also like the good fella there in the Bible, which I have here with me, Swode. Thank you very much, caller.
I ain't gonna sit down and let them roll over there. I'm not gonna sit down and let them roll over me. They need to get over there.
Thank you very much, caller.
They need to get over there.
Thank you very much. We are going to stay with the phone lines. We'll take this call and listen me. We're not going to do much overtime tonight. I could tell you that early. Good evening, caller.
Good evening.
You must get a way to get this man out of in there, other than going to the polls. What you want to tell me?
It has to be legal. I'm
10,000 people.
I'm too old now to get mixed up in illegal stuff, so it must be legal.
We need to unite together as a people. We need to forget about the color, the blue and the green, and unite as one. People, rally around the flag and ask the nigger man to go. And if he don't leave, we make him leave. That ain't hard to do. That ain't nothing hard to do. There ain't no use for us. We have seen how you destroy the place. How longer we going to sit down here as a people and watch him cause to destruction and then talk about legal way. We need to get rid of the man out in our place by any means necessary. Good night.
Thank you very much. Again, I keep telling people, me too old to go to jail, eh? So I only do legal things.
There's such a thing as civil disobedience.
Yes.
Which is it's permissible. Yeah.
And I would be a part of that every day.
Powerful.
Let me say this, right? There are two things that we must keep in mind. The first one is that Brantley has basically vested everything into this SSD. Mm-hmm. There's no turning back for him. Everything that he wants in terms of development for Nevis is tied directly, tied umbilically to the SSD being successful. Because he has no money for anything else. He has bankrupted the NIA. So he has no resources. He has no money. Now, a good government would have used some of that money that were coming over during the fruitful times and stored it away for rainy days. We did not have such in our leadership. And so, money for all of his infrastructure is promised by this development succeeding. All right, that's the first thing. You going to take the call? Or?
Yeah, it's going to be the last call that we're taking tonight. Good evening, caller.
Good evening again. Where is the power of the people? How do you mean there is no turning back? We must turn him back. Nobody can sit down here and tell me there is no turning back. The people in this country must turn him back. The power is ours. The power belongs to us, not him. We hire him so we can fire him. Good night.
I got you. Good night. Go ahead, Daly.
Yeah. The second aspect, of course, has to do with the power behind having such a large population resident on Nevis. A population that will not only bring economic power, but will proceed to get political power. And I have yet to hear all the pundits out there who are supporting this address that matter. They've been dancing around all the money to be made and all this to be done. And look at the bright side. Why all the doom and gloom? We are moving in a direction. The only Caribbean country that would have a minority black population. Let it sink in a little bit, in the English-speaking Caribbean at least. The only one who would have voluntarily given up its dominance to Europeans. How do we square that circle? How do we justify that? We have earned the right to own these countries here by our enslavement of our forefathers. These islands became ours as a price for our enslavement. It's the only region in the world outside of Africa where you have black-dominated islands. The only place. And we are saying to ourselves, let us give it back. Let Mark Brantley take it back. And so we become the minority in a country after 500 years of being here. Give it back. Let somebody else have it, because we have squandered every opportunity we've had to develop ourselves. We have not created the sorts of economy that is sustainable. We have not had the kind of leadership in the last 12, 13 years that can take us to the next level. And so from that failure comes dependence. We have become dependent on Sinkits for bread and butter every month. And now we are superseding that by being conquered and becoming subservient to another group of people. It is bad enough to have the domination as we have since independence, and even before that, when we were a colony of Britain. It was bad enough we did not have that independence. We got autonomy in 1983. And still we are complaining that the devolution of powers that was promised have not reached to its full climax. And we want to go back. We want to go back. We hated being a colony of Sinkits. We want to go even further than that and let some man from wherever tell us that we are now resident on their island, that we are taking up their space. This is the outcome, you know. And people need to realize this will be the outcome. Because once they get a toehold, you cannot stop it. What legal means are you going to use? You have 10,000 plus citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis. What are you going to tell them? Oh, you can't vote? Oh, you can't open a supermarket? Oh, you can't run for government? You can't. And when they start to bring their people in, their families in, we become the minority in our own country. In our lifetime. Deal with that. In our lifetime. You saw the projections going into 2036. And people think, oh, this is not going to happen. We better make sure it don't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it happens, Mark Brantley ain't going to be in Nevis, you know. Mark Brantley going to be in Grenada with his wife. He ain't going to be here. Unless he's going to be the premier of the zone. But then they don't want a government out there, so. I want an honest discussion. I don't want to hear about no frivolities about how much money going to be made. All the billions in income. All the health care and all that. That pales in comparison to losing your identity. Who you are as a people. And that is where we're heading. That is what the cost is. And this government and Dr. Joe's government are hell-bent at this point to give it to them. Sinkits is behaving, as the caller indicated, like they are removed from this, they are immune from this. We are tied umbilically. We are tied at the moment, at the hip. And if they think they can weather the storm by shutting down Nevis or denying that Nevis can make a difference, they are wrong. They are wrong. Because when you got that kind of money that can flood into elections, buy elections, pay for this, pay for that, brother, money make the mayor go. And we all know that. And so, I want the conversation going forward from tonight. Let us get away from all the idiosyncrasies. Focus on our political survival. Our identity survival. That is what we're talking about.
Thank you very much, Dr. Daly. I will take that as your closing statement. Tulu?
Marcus Garvey would have said to us that people who do not know their history are bound to repeat that history. Africa, as our mother country, was predominantly black people. The Europeans went in just a couple, and then they took over Africa with all of its resource and its assets. After hundreds of years, they had to fight to get their countries back and to get rid of the white people. What we are having here at the present moment is something that is worse than Africa, in that the dominant people on the island, on the continent, were still black people, but the power was with the white. What Mark Brantley and Drew wants to do with us now, when they bring 10,000 plus on the island of Nevis, they are now putting the dominance not in the hands of the black people, but the white people will be the dominant factor in the country. So we're going to have more whites. They're going to control the money. Who control the money and the land, control the power. People of Nevis, people of St. Kitts. Let me say first to the people of St. Kitts. The legislation apply to St. Kitts and Nevis alike. Nevis is the template. If this thing is allowed to stand, it's going to walk right over across the St. Kitts. We have to come together and fight this. And if we have to shut down the country, because around the world people comes together, people power, shut down the country by demonstrating peacefully, we're not going to work. We ain't opening up our business. We want this law repealed. They will have to repeal it. But if we just sit down and are afraid to give our opinion and are afraid to stand up, 2 mornings from now we're going to wake up and we're going to realize that we are no longer the people in the driving seat, but those people who do not like us and those people who want a land that they can do what they feel like, they will be doing to us exactly what was done to the people of Africa, especially South Africa. Good night.
Thank you very much. My closing statement is going to be a little different. We're not going to get into the fair share tonight, but we'll put that on the agenda for next week. You see, once you start talking about this SSZ, Nevis people get very emotional, and that takes up a bit of time. And I don't mind. We'll deal with that again next week. I'm going to close with Chesley Hamilton, because he is the first lawyer to take a position on this and speak out on it. And I will close with Chesley, because something that he said caught my attention. The Premier is probably viewing this as a golden parachute. And let me tell you something. This parachute got in plenty $1 million, Chesley. You're talking about enough money that he and his family, the Premier and his family, could afford to say to all the members of the cabinet, you hold $1 million apiece. And all of them would be grinning as if they just won the lottery. It would be a lottery for them. And they would do what they're doing now, they would support. But I'm going to close by hearing from Chesley Hamilton. He was on Inside the News a couple of weeks ago.
If the Premier in Nevis has good intentions, and they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but if he has good intentions, he has already lost the communication war, because he's responding. And he didn't come and explain to the people what is going on there, what will be going on, and why he wants this place to be so deemed.
And he has not done that even up to now.
And that's the point. So don't come and say, listen to me. If the messaging in that gap comes to the point where, listen to me, you are hiding something, people are getting suspicious, your wife is involved, yes, in a legitimate business, but she stands to gain substantial if she has exclusivity in terms of the sale and so on.
And how did she know this?
People begin to say, no, this seems like your super honorarium. You want a golden parachute to go, and this is your golden parachute.
Yes, sir. Remember, if you're looking for copies of that SSZ Act, the federal office, they still have a few. So if you're looking for a copy, and I urge you to read it for yourself, go by the federal office. They still have a few copies left, and you should be able to get a copy for yourself. Charlestown Secondary School 75th anniversary dinner comes up this weekend. It's down at Four Seasons, 7 o'clock on Saturday night.
I forgot one thing I have to mention, Carlisle. Forgive me. The weather permitting, we in the St. Paul's group, St. Paul's NRP group, will be having a new to you sale just by the old customs building in Charlestown on Saturday morning, starting at 6:30 or 6 o'clock. Weather permitting, because we might be affected. If you have anything of value that you want to share with us for us to make a few dollars and help our party, you just give me a link and we'll pick it up, and we'll be greatly appreciative of household items, kitchen items, curtains, bed sheets, those kind of things. We have quite a bit of clothing already and shoes, but if you have any kind of like toiletries, kitchen appliances, kitchen utensils, living room stuff, we'll be glad to have those as part of the ensemble for Saturday's sale. Now, it's important that we do these kind of things because a lot of people don't have the kind of cash flow to afford brand new, and so we are saying new to you. And it doesn't matter where on Nevis you are. If you are anywhere in the 5 parishes on Nevis, we can reach out to you and get those things so that somebody can appreciate them. Because you have a lot of stuff home sitting down, not using, perhaps you have the situation where, the kids are gone, but you have a lot of stuff in your house you want to get out. Once is of good quality, feel free to give us a link, either myself, J.D. Keynes, Devon Cornelius, any member of the St. Paul's group. We'd be really, really appreciated to have it and to share with others, because it'll be sold at a very nominal fee, and that fee goes into maintaining the activities of the party.
Thank you very much for being with us again this evening, and we look forward to being with you next week, Thursday, for another edition of Tell Me. Until then, be good.